So the other day I created this GPT, which sends off data once the process has gone through, and it allows you to capture that data, put it into your CRM and reach out to them, as opposed to a lot of the GPTs that are on the marketplace. They don't go or do a great deal. So this one's a really great opportunity. If you did want to build one within the GPT ecosystem, you can share that out and it will actually capture their information. So I wanted to create an example, and I got some inspiration from a friend of mine. So the example that we're going to do is travel agent, and we're going to build a custom GPT and that asks specific questions, which would be, things like where they're traveling to and from, what sort of things do they like doing, and then it will build out an itinerary. And then what will happen is it will send that information into Make. We're going to add that information into an Airtable, and then we're going to send them an automated email, right? And that email is also going to be formatted as well. So we're actually going to do that whole process, and it will automatically send them an email, which includes their itinerary, which is going to be formatted. And then it gives you the opportunity again to reach out to them. So if we kind of jump into how we're going to get this started, this is our Make automation, and we're just going to start it with a webhook. Bear with me because there, might get a couple of things wrong. I'm going to do this in the one take. And essentially we need to add a webhook, and we're just going to call this travel agent example, right? So we're going to do that. We'll click save, copy the address, right? So now we've got this webhook address. So essentially we need to create the GPT that will send the webhook to here, right? And before we do that, what I want to do is come into the templates that I've got here. So this is actually the schema that we're going to use. As you can see, it's got stuff from the other one that I made. This is a template. We can actually use another GPT that we've got access to, which I've got here, which is GPT Action Schema. So we can use this one to recreate the information that's in that schema, right? So this is the template that we've got here. This is my old prompt. So we're just going to very, very quickly, this is how I find it easier anyway, to have the prompt and everything in a document and then copy and paste it over. We're just going to very quickly create this prompt. In order to create this prompt, we need to know the essential bits, which is like, what are the columns going to be in this Airtable, what information are we going to need to capture from them, and then what are we going to give back, right? That's kind of the main thing here. So obviously we need to know traveling from, traveling to. We're going to want to know any interests. So this is going to be like scenery, coffee, stuff like that, right? So any kind of particular interests, when are they going? So that's fine. So we're traveling from, traveling to, any interests, when are they going? I think that's kind of some of the key basic information that we can get from them. And then the output that we're going to give them is we're going to give them daily itinerary, right? Well, that was, still got it wrong. So we're going to give them a daily itinerary. So this is our output. So it still needs to be columns. So this is, just make it easy. So we're just going to call this our input. All right, so that's what we're getting from them. And this is what we're going to give back. So we're just going to basically do that, right? So daily itinerary, and then we're also going to need like a summary. So I want to create a summary, and the reason I'm going to do that is because we're going to use that to create a prompt later on. But essentially we're going to get ChatGPT, once it's done this, to kind of give a summary of what its output was, what the conversation was, and kind of where they're going. And then we're going to use that to create a prompt for something else. So daily itinerary, summary, we can actually give them flight costs as well. So we can get it to search for flight costs, so we can add that as well. And yeah, I think that's probably enough. So that's fine. So we're going to have flight costs, daily itinerary. So let's just call this then itinerary day 1. Right, so we've got itinerary day 1. Oh, shoot, wrong one. Let's do that again. Itinerary day 1. Just copy that. Day 2, day 3, day 4, right? We're just going to do something nice and simple, because then we've got day 1, day 2. Okay, so this is going to be output. So these are the columns. The reason we're doing that is because we want to be able to call on each one of these individually. So then that way we can create an email that's formatted, and each one of those goes into its own section. So I'm going to do it like this, just because there'll be other ways of doing it, but this way, if we can get it to have output like that, then we get better consistency. Whereas if we ask it to put it all out in one bundle, it could be that we get some inconsistencies there, and that could then cause trouble on the automation a little bit further down the line. So this is how I'm going to do it. I'm not saying that it has to be done this way, but this is just how my brain is putting it together at the moment. So essentially, these are the columns that we're going to need, right? So I'm just going to take a copy of each of these. Traveling to, any interests, where are they going? We're going to copy all of that. Itinerary day 1, day 2, day 3, day 4, day 5, summary, and flight costs. And there might be something else that pops up as we're typing it out, but then basically we're going to go ahead and we're going to build this out, right? So I'm just going to delete these for now. Just think it'd be a bit easier doing it that way. Delete field and delete field. We're just going to, this will actually be their name. There we go. What a sausage. Input traveling to, from, where are they going? Name and email address. And we could ask for phone number as well if they want to get a phone call, right? So you can ask for phone number. Could ask for a phone number as well in case they want that. But essentially, we're going to go ahead and we're going to input that into here. So we want name is there, email address, phone number, and we're going to pop these in here. Bosh. So let's go back. So this is the itinerary, traveling to, from, right? So here we go. So this is the itinerary, traveling from. We're going to do that, single line text, create field. And then we're going to call this one traveling to, and we're going to do single line text for that one as well. Any interests, we're going to do long text just in case, because they might go, I'm interested in hundreds of things, but probably not. When are they going? Dates, we're going to call that rather than when are they going. And we're just going to call that, we could call that a date, but it could be to and from. So I'm just going to call it single line text for now. Just makes it a bit easier. Dates, and then itinerary day 1. So long text. Create, that's fine. And then we're going to do itinerary day 2. I'm actually going to pause this while I do these bits because it's a bit boring. Right, so I'm back now, and I've just added those bits in there, so you can see that I've added all of those columns in there. Day 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, summary, flight costs, email address, which is actually an email address field, phone number's a phone number field. I've kept all of these as text for now, just because we don't need it to be, sort of numerical values or anything like that, because we're just going to be pulling the data from it and putting it into an email. If you did want to go into more detail, then obviously you can do that. You can change how all of these columns work and function, however you want to do that, right? So now we've got this built. We've got somewhere for the data to go to. So now that we've got that done, we can essentially start to build our our custom GPT, and we're just going to call this travel agent, short trip itinerary. I don't know. Apparently I can't spell itinerary. So short trip itinerary builder. Cool, nice. And we're going to give it a little use DALL-E, why not? And it's just going to build something out for us. So we've got that there. We're in configure. So notice as well that I'm actually in the configure settings here rather than create. I'm in configure. So we're going to be adding the information in here. Get yourself a nice trip planned with our itinerary builder. Nice. Well, apparently I can't spell planned. Cool. Instructions. So let's build out our prompt, right? So this time we are, and again, this is a very simple prompt. You can go into a lot more detail. This is going to get me the results that I want. If I wanted to cheat, I could use Claude's prompt builder, but this one's going to be enough for us, right? So you are a travel agent. Let's do that again. Travel agent specializing in creating short trip. Again, I've not spelled it right, but whatever. Itineraries up to 5 days. Absolutely everything there is to know about getting the most out of a trip. the user will give you, there we go. So the user will information on where they're going, and you will build them. And do you know what? Itinerary, thank goodness for that. Right, so the user will come to you and ask for it. Right, so we're going to get rid of that. Here we go. Right, how to do things. Make click up. Right, so essentially we're going to delete this bit here. Let's get rid of that. And we're going to say you need to find out the following information. Then you can make some suggestions on how they can spend their time on holiday, as well as costs for flights from their destination. Right, so it's going to be basically everything that we've put here. Here we go. So we're going to start with this. This is going to be what we're going to start with, right? So these are the bits that we want, right? So this is what we want to know from. So that's fine. Traveling from. So where are they traveling from? Where are they traveling to? Where are they traveling to? And then you've got any interests. That's fine. When are they going? Cool. So this is going to be the main things that we're doing here. And then essentially, just to make it easier, and I found it a bit more accurate, is we're going to kind of say what each one of those is going to be. And essentially, it's just going to be the same thing, but without the spaces. So we're just going to call it, we'll just copy traveling from. Yeah, so we're just going to do that. So I'm just going to add all of these in there, but I'll pause it and then unpause it when I'm back. Right, so we're back now. You can see essentially I've just added that in there. So this is going to be the first set of questions. You need to find out the following information, then you can make some suggestions on how they can spend their time on holiday and the cost for the flights, right? So you're going to find this information, then GPT is going to go off and find that information out, right? And it's going to go, right, here's your itinerary, here's day 1, day 2, day 3, day 4. And there we go, and that's just reminded me how many days. So that's the other one that we need to put in there, because then that will help them build out the itinerary. So we know when they're going, they'll give us the date and then we can check the flights. But the how many days thing, let's just copy that. We'll put this in there. And then we're going to remove this. How many days? Probably would have been quicker just to type that out. And we're going to put that to lowercase just in case. Right, traveling from, traveling to, interest, destination, how many days, right? And then it's going to say, right, here's your itinerary, day 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, great. And then once you have this information, you will provide an itinerary. I hate this word now. Itinerary for the number of days they have requested. Include options that suit their interests, as well as things that are happening on the dates they suggest, right? Or the dates they are going. And that's great. After you provide the itinerary, you can ask them for their information and let them know someone from, we could just call it Matty's travel agents, will be in touch shortly. Here is the information we need, and that's going to be name, email address, and then phone number. And this one's optional. So we've got those details there, and then essentially we're going to do the same thing as we did here, because that's just going to format it a little bit better for us. It just like those instructions, right? So again, just going to pause it, go. Cool, so we've done that. Essentially, we've got, this is the information we need, their name, their email address, their phone number, and then we're going to summarize the information, and then we're going to activate the webhook, right? So this is the previous call to action. So we're just going to get rid of that because we've got after you provide the itinerary, you can ask them for their information and let them know that someone from Matty's Travel Agents will be in touch shortly. Here's the information we need. Name, Summarize the information and say this is summary. So we're going to keep that. And then we're going to say determine their name, email address, and phone number. Then use the webhook to send. Right, so we've got a lot of this stuff here: name, email address, summary, business area, content workflow. Right, so you can see that this is formatted in the same way, so no space. Right, and then again, keep it so that it's no, if there's no caps here, make sure there's no caps there. I tend to just align it. I haven't actually tested it out without them being, in a line, but yeah, that's generally how we do it. So this is the information that we're going to be sending, which is everything that we've got. Right, so we're going to get all of these: traveling to, interests, destination. We don't actually need how many days, but I'm going to grab it anyway. Name, email, phone number. Right, so we want all of these bits of information. But one thing that I haven't done here, so after you provide the itinerary, so once you have this information, you'll provide an itinerary for the number of the days. Each day will be So it's going to be itinerary. So we're going to do itinerary. Right, so that's basically in a nutshell. I'm going to quickly go do all of these. Right, so I'm back. You can see that I've added those. Each of the day will format under the relevant heading, right? And then we're obviously going to be sending out those bits of information. Determine the name. Use the webhook to send. Day 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Yeah, cool. And then we're also going to be sending all of these traveling to from. Right, let's get off of here because I copied those, didn't I? So I'm just going to do that and then come back. Right, so I think I've got everything in there, and as I'm building it out, there's a few things that I'm noticing that I need to quickly go in and fix, but essentially we've got, where you're traveling to, from, interests, when are they going, how many days. Once this information is done, we're going to store it under these headings, so it's itinerary 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then the flight costs calculated are going to go under flight costs, and then after you provide the itinerary, you can ask them for the information and let them know that someone from Matty's travel agent will be in touch shortly. Here's the information we need. Name, blah, 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 right? So summarize the information of the conversation, save a summary, determine their name and email address and phone number, then use the webhook to send. So we've got all of those bits in there. Let's just make sure summary is in there as well. So we've got that. So this is much bigger than any of the ones I've ever done before. So as I'm building it, I'm like, blimey, right, this is quite big. Hopefully it understands what we want. So we've got that there. So determine their name and email address and phone number and organize all the collected information, then use the webhook to send. These are all the bits of information that we're sending, right? So we're just going to do that. So that's our prompt. So we've got that there. You're a travel agent. I think that's all about right. We're going to test and see if this works. Hopefully it all goes smoothly, or at least ish, and we can figure out if there's anything we need to fix, right? So we've got that there. That's the prompt. So we're going to go to our GPT, which we've got here. I'm going to go ahead and delete that so that I'm not messing about. So that's our instructions for the GPT. So we've got that information there. So we've got that all there. I'm just going to... So we've got all that information there, and we've got a funky little image that is created for us there as well. And now what we need to do is we need to create the webhook, right? And that is going to be this button down here. We're going to create a new action. This is going to be where the schema goes, right? So essentially our schema's here. We just need to copy this over, right? Easiest way to do it. We've got, here we go, here's our schema, right? So we're going to go back to this action schema creator. Move myself over here again. We're going to say, please create me a schema. Right, I'm pretty sure if I recall rightly, you have to style off. Anyway, yeah, let's build a schema. Here is the template I am using. And we're going to go ahead and pop that in there. Please replace the information in here with these headings and this webhook URL, and make sure it is structured so that the webhook will send the information. Right, so I'm doing this on the fly, to be honest, and it's a Saturday. I'm not sure that my brain's working 100%. Oh, here we go. So what have we got there? We're going to go ahead and go back. I'm going to go back to here. This is everything that it's going to send. So I'm just going to copy it from here. Do itinerary day 1. Right, so we're calling these determine and send from here. Traveling to from itinerary day 1. So those are actually going to be, so I didn't, but we'll see how these come out because I've called it itinerary day 1. So what it might be that we're just going to remove that and it's going to be itinerary day 1, itinerary day 2. Yeah, so I think we're going to quickly do that because then everything makes sense. This is just so that the data's all pulling correctly. Again, let's copy and paste that. These are the columns that we need, and then to GPT, that's the schema is going to go in there. So we need this one, Bosh, and then the webhook URL. Even if you know how to build these things, this is a lot quicker, and I just use something called clip thing for all of this. Oh god, we've caught so much that I'm actually out of it. So yeah, it's fly cut. So if you want to use that, it's an absolute winner. We're going to come back here, copy this to our clipboard, and we're going to go back here, and we're going to pop in our webhook URL. So let's make sure. So here's the template I'm using. Here's the template I'm using and then we're going to say, yeah, please replace the information in here with these headings and this webhook URL. Make sure it's structured so that the webhook will send the information from each of these headings. Right, let's make sure we're going to pop that in there, and that should spit us out a new schema, hopefully structured. It usually takes out brackets and so on and so forth. Capture user inputs. There we go. Summary, operational ID, traveling from, query, description, schema string, right, users traveling from location. So that's fine, but this one's capture user inputs. So that's changed it there, traveling to, just making sure that these are all right. Interests, traveling location, traveling to, interests, destination, how many days, name, email, phone number, itinerary day 1, 2, 3, 4. That's all there. 5, flight costs, summary. Okay, so the summary's there, cool. Required, so that's fine. Response successfully captured, failed to capture. Right, so that looks like it's going to work, but we've got to test it out. So I'm going to copy that. That's got the string in there, so I'm just going to go back to our GPT that we're building out here. Bosh. Then we've got to quickly go up here. Yep, it is 3.1, so we've made sure that that is still 3.1 because that's the most recent one. And then that is looking like it's working. Let's just test it. Starting the action. Let's have a little look. Is it going to work? Moment of truth. Holding my breath. Probably going to cut this bit out. It's taking a long time. Debug, endpoint, short trip. So, oh yeah, this is just basically asking us to do it. Yeah, we can click always allow. Talking to the webhook. I've success. Yep, wicked. So that should yep, wicked. So that's done now, right? Okay, cool. So next step is we are going to capture that data and we're going to put that data into an Airtable. So let's connect up our Airtable account. We're going to create a record and we're going to add a new connection, auth like that. So you're going for auth, my Airtable connection. So AI guys example, and that is travel agent. I'm going to go ahead and put a cap on there so that I'm nice and even, right? So now it's just going to basically take us through, connect us to the, there we go. So we've got this here, make formally, add a base, AI guys examples, grant access, and then that's going to give us access to that Airtable, and then we're going to choose the base that we've just got here. So we got the base there, and then we're going to choose the table, which is, did I name it? Social media post from form. No, I did not. So let's go back here because that is a rookie. And we're going to call this travel agent idea. I don't know, itinerary. Okay, cool. So we've got that one there. I'm just going to go back to this. I'm actually going to refresh this now because I can't be doing with it being called table 6. Absolutely not. Travel agent, itinerary builder. Awesome. So we've got that there. And then obviously none of this has been formatted. So what we've actually got to do is walk ourselves through that process so that it actually pulls all of the information in. Click run once. This module's not set up. So just click, yep. So click OK, successfully determined. We're going to click run because that's going to start capturing the data. So let's run through our GPT that we just made here. Let's test it out. And we're just basically going to say, help me build help me with my trip. I don't know, help me with my trip. Right, here we go. Where are you traveling from? Where are you traveling to? Here we go. All of the things here. So how many days will you be staying? Great. Nice and easy. So we're just going to copy that. Right, we're going to bang that in here. Right, and I'm just going to pause again because... Right, so I'm back in the room. I've filled this in again just to sort of save the time there, but I've just said I'm traveling from Stansted. I'm going to La Rochelle. I like long walks, beaches, coffee. I'm going from Wednesday, 26th of June, and I'm going to be staying for 3 nights. So I'm going to go ahead and click enter and see what it responds with. Let's see how it goes. Day 1, right, so it's got the itinerary. Got that there. Okay, cool. So it's doing that. Evenings. It's giving me a nice little itinerary there. Fantastic. Happy days. Right, so now it said, would you like me to arrange any bookings or provide additional information? We might amend that slightly, but we're going to say, that's great. Here are my details. So essentially what we need, okay, it said name, email address, and a phone number. So we're going to go matt at aiguys.ltd. And then we're going to go phone number 07859212345. Right. So here's my details, and we're gonna go with it. We're gonna see what happens. Here we go. See what happens. So I've given it my information, starting the action. Hopefully that will send it off. Okay, here we go. So there's a problem. I will now resubmit this form. So it's resubmitting it now. Itinerary day 3. Cool, that's interesting. So it looks like it has to have the day 4 and 5 on there as well. So I'm glad that we tested it out with 3 days. All right, it seems that there was an issue with submitting. We're going to stop that. Right, so we've learned something. So now it's not submitting because it was only 3 days. So we're going to go ahead and we're going to save this. So that's done. Oh, I need to give it a privacy policy as well. So we're just going to give it our privacy policy. We're going to do save it just so that something went wrong if the issue persists. Oh, don't say that. That would be emotional, wouldn't it? Just build all of this and then suddenly it's all gone. Right, so we're going to move me over there. Right, and we're going to go back a step. We're going to say, right, but for the first one, we are going to have to do up to 5 days. So I'm going to redo that. If the number of days they will be going is less than 5, ignore this when sending the webhook. Just send the number of days we have been given. Right, we might have to rethink this, but this is interesting. Okay, cool. So we're going to do that. That's updating. I think that should be all good. Update that. So that's all good. So I'm going to move me back over here and we're going to try again, but I'm actually going to do 5 days because we want all 5 of those days. So we want all 5 of those days to come through because otherwise we wouldn't end up with all of those fields. As I'm building it out, like you kind of realize that these are some of the silly things that you go, okay, so help me plan my trip, right? So we're actually going to have that as one of the sort of things that, here we go. So let's go back up here. I'm hoping that I can just copy paste. So I'm going to copy paste this, but I'm going to say 5 days, right? Okay, cool. That's a little bit better. So now it should send off the webhook, but we're hopefully covering ourselves for when there's less than 5 days. So we're back into it now and we can see that essentially it's given us all of those days in the itinerary. Something simple, right? We're keeping it simple. You can do a lot more with this, right? We can go into detail. We can do a higher level prompt. That's not what this is about. Today I'm showing you how to create that webhook. If you want a higher level prompt with different results, or if you want the results to come from specific places, then you can do that as well. If you wanted to add in the links, then you can ask those questions and you can toy about with it. But for now, we're just going to keep things nice and simple. And now it's saying, please provide your name, email address, phone number, right? I'm going to provide that information. Here we go, moment of truth. Cool, right, starting the action, send in your details now. Here we go. Your trip details have been sent to Matty's travel agent. Someone will be in touch with you shortly to finalise your booking. Woohoo! Okay, let's go have a look, shall we? Okie dokie. We didn't actually do any of that, but here we go. Travelling from, to, interest, destination, itinerary day 1, 2, 3, 4. Boom! This is sick. Like, we've just created a GPT that's hosted on the GPT store that is, a travel agent assistant that can build out an itinerary, right? Now, we've connected that to Airtable. So we've got this here, it's run. Well, obviously, it's not done anything. But when we click into it, bang, now we can see all of the things that we wanted to. So now we can basically coordinate that data, right? So we've got all of that there. I'm just going to click on here and, oh, whoops, I don't want that. We're going to zoom out a little bit. Getting a bit excited, aren't I? So we're going to get rid of that. But this is wicked. Look at that. So we've got all of that information. This is brilliant information that we've got here, right? But it seems to have just summarized this. So this is a problem here that we're probably going to need to sort out. We've got itinerary day 1, 2, 3, 4, right? So that's not actually giving us the full itinerary. That's another thing that we're going to have a look at, right? Because what that's done, here we go. So that's good. So now what we need to do, this is our issue. Let me confirm and send your details. Right, here we go. Go back into here. Be sure to send the full itinerary and summary information. There is no need to, if I do that, there is no need to check their details with them. Just send it through the webhook. It's essential that all of the... Here we go. So it's essential that all of the itinerary details are included along with the full summary of the conversation. This will be added to a CRM and used to send their email. Right, cool. So we're just basically saying, be sure to send the full itinerary so that we're not just sending this bloody nonsense through the webhook, and just letting it know, it's essential that all of it. It's just one of those things that if you tell it why it's so important, it's the same as if you're training a human being. Tell it why it's so important, and it's much more likely to get it right. Cool. So that's done, and that's looking good. That's looking to be updated. Cool. So that's good. So we've got that here. We can test that out again in a minute. But for now, while the information that's come through here isn't exactly as we wanted it to be, it is coming through as we need. So we've got all of the different ones here. So we've got name, traveling from there, traveling to there, any interests we got there, the dates that they're going to be going. Interest, destination, how many days, email address, itinerary, flight cost, summary. Not actually done that. So itinerary day 1, day 2, day 3, day 4, and day 5. And then we've got the summary, which is here. Then we've got the flight costs. Then we've got their email address. And then we've got their phone number. But the dates have not come through. So have I forgotten that from the webhook? I think I did. So let's quickly go back to GPT. Let's go on to this one. So it's only on there, so I didn't include it. Right, so what we're going to need to do is we're going to just make our lives a little bit easier. Where's that tab that I closed? Cool. Here's the tab that I closed. That's great. I forgot to add in the date they will be traveling. Please add in to the columns we need date. Cool. So now it's going to rewrite it for us. Add in that parameter. I'm just going to pause. Right, so that's done. Imagine if you had to write that whole thing out. That would have been very long-winded. So we just made our lives a lot easier by coming through and getting that done. We're going to copy that. And then we're going to come back to our GPT. And we're just going to paste that in there because I'm a sausage and I forgot to put the date in there as well. So that's fine. That should update. That's fine. So that should all stay the same, but we are going to need to redetermine the data structure, right? So I'm going to go back and I'm going to say to it, right, so we'll just go for the process. Help me with my trip. Let's make sure it's going to work. Yeah, so we do this again. Let's actually copy that in. Where are you traveling from? Stansted, La Rochelle, 26th of June. So that's traveling from to interests. When are you going? 26th. And then where will you be staying? How long will you be staying? Okay, so we need to change that to 5 because we're redetermining the data structure. Bosh. So we're going to go in. Let's see if this works. It should work. As I say, because I'm blasting through this quite quickly, these are the things that you're going to notice as you're building them out. So I suppose it's a good opportunity to see how to resolve some of these problems. So that's just doing that there. I'm going to pause it again. Okay, so we're back. It's giving me all that information. And that's the summary. Bit of a boring summary, so I'm actually going to get it to do like a paragraph summary, but that's not an issue here nor there for the moment, because that's an easy fix. But we're going to send that Bosh summary here. Okay. Let's hope that that sends it out properly. What we're going to do. So let's make sure that that comes through. Okay, so quickly unpausing this. One of the things I didn't do when I came back into this was test it. So we just want to run the test. It's just captured the information again. We're just going to click here. So I hope that summary flight costs, which are from. Okay, so that's not come through yet. So what we're going to do, we're going to save this, and then we're going to get it. Here we go. So that's done. Right, now we're just going to say, please resend that information to the webhook. Right, this is going to make our lives easier rather than having to go through it again and again and again. So we're going to do that. So please resend the information. I'm going to click there. And then it should hopefully just send it out again. So that way, when we're testing it, it's nice and quick and easy. Starting the action. Let's hope. Here we go. Just going to capture it there. Right, the information has been successfully resent. Okay, so here we go. Information has been successfully resent. So now that means when we go back to make, bang, bang, you can see that they're both there. We're going to open that up, so that's there. Cool. The itinerary's here. Then, when we click here, gosh, there we go. So we've got the itinerary. We've got everything in there, right? So that's good. So everything's come through. Now all we need to do, because I foolishly didn't do this the first time, is we just need to sort dates out here, which... it sent me the wrong thing. Date, destination. Right, so it's done that wrong. But that's fine. So we've got dates here, destination, it's gotten mixed up. So we'll have to look into why that's happened as well. Again, rushing through this very, very quickly. So you'd be a bit more meticulous with the way that it works. Cool. Great. We've got that. That information's come through. We've corrected that. That's going to be on there. And then that's going to be in here. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to click run once again. I'm going to say, make sure that is running. Great. Send it again. Be sure to have the information in the right places. E.g., the destination needs to be the destination. La Rochelle. Might be something in here. What have we got here? Travelling to. Interests, destination. Right, here we go. That's why. Travelling to. That's why, because. Bloody donut. What we got here? Yeah, so it looks like we've got travelling to and destination. So I will just remap that if needs be. Yeah. I'll remap that because we've got travelling to and destination. We don't need both of those, so I can delete one of those. But for now, I'm just going to leave it because I just want this to go out and just make sure that it's working. Here we go. Okay, that information seems to have gone there. Bosh, flight cost TBD, so that's not pulled the flight cost through it initially, but it's got all the rest of the information. Travelling to, long walks, dates, any interests, flight costs, etc., etc. So let's have a little look. Cool, so that's fine. So destination can just be removed, it's getting confused. So now that information will all be here, woohoo! So we've got all of that in here. So that's all of the ones that we want. So we're just gonna do that. And we're gonna delete these because we don't need them there. Let's delete these 5 records. Cool, so that's done. So that part of it is now done. I'm gonna pause this for a second. Right, so now what we wanna do is we'll generate an image. Okay, because we're going to want an image on the email, why not? So we click GPT, generate an image. We're going to go for DALL-E 3. We're going to say, you are an expert at creating holiday images. Here's a holiday summary. And we're going to go down here. That can just be summary. Please create an appealing header for an email. Do not include people or text in the image. The image aspect ratio needs to be 1920 times 1080. Right, so that's what we're going to go for. If we go here, we can actually change it here. So we're going to do, let's go for that one. Bosh, we're just going to get rid of that. We're choosing the size of the image here. Quality standard, let's go for HD. Style vivid, response format, URL, which can be pulled into the Airtable. So what I'm going to probably do is switch these around in just a second, but everything there will stay the same. So style vivid, let's go for natural, see what that looks like. URL, cool. Okay, cool. So now we know that that's going to create the image. We're going to move that over here. It's going to mess everything up, but there we go. Let's unlink this. Let's unlink this. Let's link this one here. Oh, there we go. Link that one here. That's fine. Yep, okay, cool. So we've got that. That's going to create the image. That's connected there, so that's going to be all good. It's going to create the image, cool. So, great. So that's all there. Let's test out and make sure that this is going to work. And actually, what we need to do that I didn't think about until now as well is we want an image in here as well. So image, and that is going to be an attachment. Cool, create field. Cool, so that's their image. Let's try this again. So we're going to go onto here. We're going to go and we're going to refresh that. And we should see image pop up in just a second. Oh, golly. Refresh. Scroll down, image, and then we can add the item in there, which we know is going to be URL there. So that's going to be the image file name. We can give it a name if we want, so you could click that and then call it like whatever you want, but it will just name it itself. That's fine. So that's got the image there. And then the other thing that I was going to do is just when you're sending an email, if you're going to send an email with an image on it, you kind of want that image to be as compressed as possible. And there was actually a tool that I found. Here it is. So this one, image resize from Malabe. I've never used it before, but we're going to add it in. Images, the free account I think is like 20 a month, so that's fine. We're going to compress an image, something that I wanted to test out. Image type, image URL, then we're going to be popping that image in there. So this is being compressed for the email. Doesn't need to be compressed when it's added into Airtable, that's fine. We don't need to specify the file name or the extension, and then this is just reducing the quality of the image in order to compress it a little bit. We'll leave it at 80. Again, these are things that you can play around with, but I just wanted to add this in because when you're sending an email, as I say, if you're going to send an email directly from here, if you're going to have an image in it, you want the image to be compressed, right? So we're just going to do that right now because I'm in a position where I want to start getting this out. Let's do this. Let's just do it. I've not named any of these, so I'm going to go Anthropic Claude, create a message, model, free, Opus, max tokens, call it 1200. No, let's go 1500 because 15,000, Jesus. 1500, add a message, role, user, add the content, type as text, and then we're going to say, there we go, text. HTML, email, drafter. Please create an attractive email for an itinerary. Each day needs to be its own section. Keep it simple and attractive. This is the header image, compressed image URL. And then we're going to go, these are the days. And we're going to go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Ignore any blank days. So that's fine. Ignoring blank days, you're an expert email drafter. Please export this email as HTML. And Yeah, please export this email as HTML. Right, so we're just going to run with that. We're going to see if that works. We're keeping it nice and simple. You're an expert email drafter. Please create an attractive email for an itinerary. Each day needs to be its own section. I'm going to say, start the email with hello. And then we're going to go name. Followed by the there it is. Here's the itinerary. Ignore any blank days. Please export this as HTML. That's done. And that's going to come through as HTML in theory. This isn't the way that you would normally do it. You would test each one, but I'm going to go ahead and connect up my Gmail, and it's going to, this is just from Gmail. So you can do it any which way that you want. So hi, name, here's your itinerary. Content is going to be text there because I know where that's coming from. So that's going to be the itinerary, AI guys, email collection, and then the recipient is going to be, you guessed it, their email address, which is that one there. Cool. So that's the email address. And then what I often tend to do, show advanced, and I'll add in like a blind copy, which would be myself. So I would just put myself into here. This is just an example. We don't have to do it exactly like this, but then obviously you get the email as well. But you can set up notifications and all the rest of it after that. But yeah, from, and then you're just going to say Matty's travel agent. Cool, that's fine. So that's all good. So now that should come through okay now. So I'm actually going to be testing this out a little bit here. So that's the thing there. So that's a compressed image. So we're going to give it a go. Now I'm going to click save. Very important that you click save. Don't click back without doing that. Run once. We're going to go back to GPT. We're going to say, great, please resend the information again. Cool. Here we go. Moment of truth. Let's see what happens. Okay, so we've added that in. I've sped through it because obviously it's taken me a little bit longer than I thought, but we'll come through. We can rename all of these things, but I just want to make sure that that works. And as you can see, this is a really great example of how to use it. You can kind of do anything that you want to do with it. So if you wanted to do it for your industry, you just got to think about the right thing. And it's on GPT's platform, so you can actually share it as a GPT, which would be conversational, and then it can acquire the additional information. There's a lot more training that you can put into a GPT. This is a basic version because you can add a lot more detail into those prompts, but this is like a nice simple version that you can use to kind of get an idea of what can be done. So we're going to go back to here, itinerary, blah, 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 flight cost TBD. That's created the image. So if we do that, we'll actually get the image here. What I'm just going to do is get that, do that, and then just remove the queue. Oh, wow, that's pretty cool. But I did ask it to not have words. It's a good thing I saved this because that would have been very annoying. Because if you don't save it, sometimes it can cause you a bit of a pickle. So let's have a look and see if that's sent, shall we? Let's see if that email's sent. I'm just going to get it up. So we can see that that email has sent and it's added in the image. Hello, Matt. Here's your itinerary. Blah, 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 blah. Day 1, 2, 3, 4. But it's a bit boring, right? So if we wanted to, we can add in some of the colors. We can add a border. We can do all of those things. So why not? Let's just go back to Claude and say, you're an expert email drafter. Please create an attractive email. Keep it simple and attractive. Please add borders around each section and use a vibrant blue for any to actions. Finish the email with book now in a button, and the link is, we're just going to do like our email, our website, right? So we're going to go for the AI guys. So the link is the AI guys, and then that should work. Okay, cool. So that's done. All of that information should be in there. I'm going to save that again, and then we're going to click go again on the GPT. I'm going to say, great, please send again, because then that way it's just going to resend the same information, and then we can test it out, right? So starting the action, and that's going to go through here. We should see, well, I should have done it anyway, but yeah. So if we click run once, that's going to come through. I'm going to pause it, and then it will come through again. Right, so we're back again, and we can see bish bash bosh sent through all of the information. That's also been added to here, so you can see that the images have been added in here. So that's the second image. It's actually not bad. That's actually a pretty good image. I'm really impressed with that. The one before that wasn't very good, but that's a really cool image. What I could do to improve that, to be fair, is because we've got this here, you're an expert creating a holiday image, blah, blah, blah. If we wanted to, we could add in like one before that creates a prompt, then chucks it through. But, you know, it's sort of putting out images that are pretty good. We can do it. And then it's compressing the image, which is going to be there. So it's going to be a smaller version of the image. And then it's running it through. So this was the original email. This was without any changes. Let's see what the new email looks like, shall we? So this is the new email, again, formatted in HTML, not terrible, very, very basic, but you can see that if you wanted to take it a step further, you could say, you know, put it into boxes, the outline of the boxes needs to be this color, text needs to be this color, you just need to give it those instructions, but this is just basically built that out. And now what you've essentially got, oh, here's the HTML code for the email, so we don't want that. So we're just going to go back into Claude, and we're going to say, oh, don't want to do that. Please export this email as HTML and only respond with the HTML email, nothing else. So that should then mean that it will only respond with the HTML email. So look at that. Like, you know, really, I know that it's taken me just over an hour to do this, but essentially in just over an hour, we've got the basic foundations of a custom GPT that someone can go to and ask for, you know, an itinerary. It will give them that information and then it can send it off as well, right? So we're going to update that. Hopefully we don't see any issues updating it, because that would be a real bummer. And then we're going to go ahead and we're going to view that GPT, right? So here is the GPT that we've just made. If I shared this, right, let's have a little look here actually. Edit GPT. Let's just make sure, share. We're going to do anyone with a link, save. Let's see, because sometimes they can be a bit wonky when you try and do that. Cool, it's saved. So we can share, oh goodness. We can share that, right? So we've got that. Anyone with a GPT, copy link, bosh. So now, you know, even if I went into an incognito browser, which I could do, we could test that out, but it's here, right? So this is the builder. The other thing to remember, actually, let's actually have a little think. Okay, so in order to test this out, what I've actually done is I've signed into my personal GPT account, using my personal email address, and this one is a free GPT account, so you don't actually need a paid one anymore to use these GPTs, which is really, really good. So I can put a little button in me with my trip. We're testing this out. We're going to see if it works, right? I'd be happy to help. Where are you traveling from to blah, 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 blah. Let's copy this. Let's give it some new stuff, right? We're going to travel from, still Stansted. We're going to travel to, I still want to travel to La Rochelle. It's a nice, easy one because I'm actually going there. We're just going to say, yeah, you know, I said I was going to put new stuff into it, but we're going to go with that. And then when are you planning to go? We're going to say June 26th, because I am going on June 26th. And then we're going to say 5 days. Cool. Let's see if it works. Cool. Morning, afternoon. Here we go. It's giving us this itinerary. I'm just going to pause this. I'm sure you don't want to sit here and watch all of this the whole time. Okay, back in the room. So now it's just asking me for name and email address. And again, we're going to do the same thing. Right, that's fine. And then what else does it ask me for? A number. Okay. Cool. And then when we click enter, it's actually going to ask us if it's happy for the information to be sent. I'm hoping that it doesn't do, for whatever reason, it spits the itinerary back out again, which is a bit of a pain in the bum. So need to sort that out. So it's asking us here, is it happy for us to send that out? So actually we've got to make sure, if you build one of these out, just make sure you let people know that they need to click allow, otherwise they won't. But again, these are all things that you can build into it as you go, and off it goes. Right, talk to the webhook. Let's see. Integration, we're going to click run once, use existing data, which will be the one that's just come through. We can see that day one, morning, okay, cool. All of that. Flight costs will be provided shortly. It's not giving me the costs of the flights, which is a bit of a bummer, but we can dive in and figure out why that is. I think the main thing is that we've essentially created a GPT that do an itinerary. It doesn't have to have the flight costs in there if you don't want it to. I don't know whether or not a travel agent would want the flight costs in there, but again, just a good use case to test out. So yeah, dive in and make something a little bit more complicated. Hopefully this gives people a bit of value. Hopefully you enjoy it as much as I did. Let's just send in that last bit. Let's give it a pause. Okay, great. So we can see now that's sent the information off. It's talk to make. We've got all of the bits in here. We've got the output here. But what we can see is output tokens is 1500, right? And we saw that on this email because it maxed out. So this is what's going to happen. If you set a maximum number of tokens with an email or something like this, it's reached the maximum output, so it stops the email, right? So I now know that I need to come in here and I need to increase that. So I'm actually going to put that to 2,500 tokens, right? I'm going to click OK. So that should work. I'm going to click run once again. And then what we're going to do is we're going to, okay, please send that again. Please send that again. Hopefully it doesn't send it. There we go. Start an action. All good. So that's going to start the action, send it back through here. And then hopefully we don't end up with an email that's half finished, right? So you just need to make sure. So that's one of the things that you might encounter as well. Okay, so that's all gone through. And here is the email. Let's have a look. Day 4, day 5. Woohoo! And we've got the book now button. Bosh! It's going to take me through to that website, which is our website, right? So yeah, you can put that call to action to be anything you want. But there you go. So essentially, this now will be, this is a GPT that you could share. So you could share that GPT. People could ask for the itinerary, and then at the end of it, they're going to get an email with all of the information. And again, look, this is basic. So if you want to go into more detail and train up the GPT more, you can actually ask for additional specifics. It comes from the right websites, your website, more information from specific places. And then if you want this to be designed a bit better to your liking, you can give specific color codes. Just remember that if you're going to be adding in color codes and borders and various bits and bobs like that, that's going to make the HTML longer, which means that you're going to need a larger max tokens, right? So it's just things worth considering. Hopefully you found this as cool as I did. You know, when I first found this out, I was quite impressed. But yeah, hopefully this is a good example and you like it. If you do, let me know. And if you want to give it a go, let me know how you get on with it.